Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Learning English with Flor. I'm really excited to give you this lesson today about countable versus uncountable nouns. I just really enjoy teaching grammar. And when I tell people that, they look at me weird. What? You like grammar? Yes, I do. And it was always like one of my favorite topics within English to teach. So today I'm going to cover really basics about what uncountable and countable nouns are. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. You can look in the description box for other lessons that I offer on this channel. These are lessons that have been suggested by other people either on my social media pages or on this channel itself. If you have any questions or feedback, feel free to write them in the comments section below. Are you ready? Let's get started. So what are nouns? There are really two different types, and you might hear someone say non-count versus count, or uncountable versus countable nouns. But what's the difference? If we look at nouns in general, nouns are simply the basic words that can be defined as a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. These are the basic words that we first start to learn when we learn a new language. And say, a supervisor. Supervisor is a noun. Coworker. Coworker is a person. That is also a noun. I can say the word office, which is a place, is a noun. Other examples might be the word building, meeting, information. All of these words are considered nouns. What nouns are not are words, for example, that describe things. If I say, she is funny, the word funny is not a noun. Do you know what part of speech that is, though? You're right, it's an adjective. A noun is also not an action. For example, I talk, I walk, I think. Do you know what part of speech those are? They are verbs. And of course we know that a noun is not a type of preposition. Those little words we have to learn, like the word on, up, down. These are not nouns. Take a look at these three example sentences. Can you identify the nouns in each one? My coworker always eats salads. Do you have a coworker who's always trying to eat healthy? What are the nouns in this sentence? If you said the word coworker and salads are nouns, you're correct. A coworker is a person, salads are considered things. Let's try number 2. My office is on the 10th floor. What are the nouns in this sentence? You're correct. If you said the words office and floor are nouns. And number 3, the people in the cafeteria are friendly. Probably my favorite time of the day is when you get to go have lunch with your coworkers. Here's a hint. There's 2 of them. The nouns are people and cafeteria. So now that we've distinguished what nouns are, let's take a closer look at what makes a noun countable or uncountable. Just like it mentions in the word countable, a countable noun is a noun that can be counted. I can say, I have 1 chair, I have 2 chairs, or I have 1 book, I have 2 books, 3 books. When we refer to the singular form of a countable noun, you can use the word a or an at the beginning. For example, I can say, I have a question. The word question is a countable noun. You can say, for example, I have 3 questions. What do you notice about the word question at the end, though? We add the S ending for plural forms of countable nouns. Of course, there are a few exceptions where the word ends in ES, and this will be covered in a future lesson as to why. But here's an example. If I say I have 1 watch, I can say I have a watch. But if I have 2, I would say I have 2 watches. The A or the N at the beginning of a singular count noun really just depends on whether the noun actually begins with a vowel or vowel sound. Here's an example of when I would use the word an. I have an email from the CEO. What do you notice about the beginning of the word email? It starts with an E, the vowel E and sound email. I have an email. You wouldn't say I have a email. Another example could be this. I start work in an hour. Take a look at the word hour. It starts with the letter H, but actually when you hear it, it sounds like the vowel sound hour, hour. So we use the word an. Uncountable nouns is just the opposite, where we do not use the word a or an to reference it. Take a look at the example with the word information. Sometimes I hear people incorrectly say informations, trying to add that S at the end. But because it is uncountable, you can't actually add the S at the end, and you can't reference it with an A or an. Same with the word news. News is uncountable. We just say, I watch the news. Here's a quick tip to remember with countable versus uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns a lot of times fall into categories. And let me show you what I mean. The word clothes is an uncountable noun. I can say, I have some new clothes. However, the word clothes is a category within itself. You have jackets, shirts, pants. So it is a category. We treat it as an uncountable noun, but within that category, you have countable nouns. I have 1 jacket. I have 2 jackets. Another category is money. Sometimes this is confusing for students, but when I say we can't count money, it's not countable. I mean that I cannot say I have 2 monies, 3 monies, 4 monies. That doesn't make sense. However, we have dollars or whatever currency we're using. We have coins. We do have things within that category that we can count. I have 2 coins, 3 coins. But the word money itself is uncountable. A way to kind of count or show quantity of an uncountable noun is by using words that describe containers. And of course, this is a basic rule, but here's an example. Rice is uncountable, but I can say, I'm going to buy a bag of rice, or I'm going to eat a bowl of rice. Another example would be, I want a bottle of water. I want 4 bottles of water. See how I'm quantifying an uncountable noun? In the work setting, you can apply this to some uncountable nouns that you hear a lot. For example, I want to ask my coworker for advice. I could say, he gave me 2 pieces of advice, instead of saying incorrectly, he gave me 2 advices. Another classic example, especially for American English, is Americans love their coffee. And I will say, I want a cup of coffee, but I won't say I want 2 coffees, 3 coffees. Now, of course, there are certain informal situations where someone might say that, and that's understandable. But if we're looking specifically at the grammatical rules, then that would be incorrect to say. But yes, coffee is uncountable, similar with a lot of other liquids and food. Let's try this now. Let me show you a list of different words, and I want you to identify if the word is countable or uncountable. Think you can do it? Let's try it. Research. Is it countable or uncountable? I did a research. Doesn't sound right. I did some research. The word research is uncountable. Work. Countable or uncountable? Work is uncountable. I can say I have a lot of work, but I can't say I have one work, two works, three works. That doesn't make sense. Coins. Yes, of course. Countable. You can count coins. You can have 1 coin, 100 coins. Okay, next one. Easy one. Chair. Countable. Correct. Yes. I can say 1 chair, 2 chairs. And remember, when we make it plural, if it's countable, we'll add the S ending in this case. Knowledge. Uncountable. Yes, it is a noun because it's an idea, but knowledge cannot be counted or measured by numbers. I have some knowledge, I have a lot of knowledge, but I can't say I have 2 or 3 knowledges. Peer. Peer is another word that is used in schools. People you go to school with. Countable. I can have 1 or 2 peers or a classroom of 30 peers, but I can use a number and I add the S at the end to make it plural. Meeting. You're right. It is countable. I can have 1 meeting or 10 meetings. Some people I know maybe more than 20 meetings a week. So now that we know the difference between countable and uncountable nouns, what about these words like many or much? How do we use those and when? The word many is used with countable nouns. I have many coworkers. I have many emails. But I can't say I have many knowledge. I can't say I have many information. So what do we use for uncountable nouns? That's right, we use the word much. Here's an example. I don't have much money yet. Money is uncountable. I use the word much. Here's another uncountable noun. We don't have much furniture in the building. Furniture, like I mentioned, is a category, so it is uncountable. And of course, within this category of furniture, we have sofas, desks, chairs, so on and so forth. If you're like me, you might be thinking, okay, so there's many and much. Sometimes I have to think too much which one to use first. Here's another quick tip. The phrase a lot of can actually be used with both countable and uncountable nouns. Did you know that? I have a lot of pens. I have a lot of pencils. I have a lot of chairs. I have a lot of desks. Wow, if I had a lot of everything, I'd be so rich. But those countable nouns, if you have a lot of them, you could say a lot of. But it's the same thing with uncountable nouns. I have a lot of joy. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of information. I have a lot of water. I don't know. But those are uncountable nouns and they sound perfectly fine if you say a lot of. Cool trick, huh? So in this short lesson, we covered a lot of information. If you have any questions about what was covered in this lesson, be sure to first check out the description box, as well as use the comment section to ask questions about this topic. By really mastering identifying what are countable and uncountable nouns, you'll probably realize that you're going to actually start correcting yourself with some of the mistakes that might be occurring because we're still trying to figure out the difference between these two. Well, if you haven't already, make sure you've subscribed. Again, press that notification bell button so that you are the first notified for the next upcoming lesson. And let me know what other grammar topics you're interested in. You can connect with me in my social media. Links are in the description box, as well as links to other lessons that you might be interested in. I hope to hear from you guys again soon. You have a great rest of your week. Take care. This is Learning English with Flor. Till next time.